everything you did there was very difficult. Putting up a traffic light, we couldn't get the water line. Had a fight until we contacted a legislator in Smithtown, who turned us from the well water into town water. Each thing was a real hurdle to go ahead and do. But the parking lot was the parking lot.
Dr. Kaplan, what was the biggest change that you saw at RBK?
Through the years,
Yes.
insurance.
How so?
It was interesting. When I came into practice, nobody was really managing the outstanding balances. And there were a lot of outstanding balances. We had one patient who would come in, the mom would come in for her allergy shots. She knew Reisman would come in for her allergy shots. She'd pull up in her Bentley, park the car, and never paid bills. Never paid bills. I wound up taking over all the finances as far as collecting the money there, and started charging interest rates on those outstanding bills if they weren't going to pay. And eventually the insurance came in, and what can I say at this point? Everyone went to insurance. There was few people left that had the private pay.
I guess they used to pay in chickens when they couldn't pay in cash.
We got cakes, we got all other things.
What do you think was the glue that has held RBK together through several generations of pediatricians and even more generations of children, right?
It's a good question. I think it's good medicine. The physicians all practice good medicine, and the love of the children being there. I think really what it is. I'm still in contact with a couple of patients. One every year at time of his birthday, we send cards to each other. And this year I was in contact with one young lady who I didn't realize is 44 years old already. And so it's just that constant contact. Where I am in Florida right now, must have about a half a dozen families that were patients of ours. Their kids were patients of ours. So it's that ongoing community effect. And Reisman honestly was very involved in the community. And he brought in a lot of patients that way.
I think it was like our availability. There was night hours, like when I started, 87, and everyone was there on a Sunday and weekends. So I think the patients appreciated that, and I think that helped.
Yes.
I guess it's all the availability on Sundays and Saturdays and having your physicians on call during the weekends that basically that outshined the lack of the parking lot that we had, because I'm sure we lost a lot of patients because of the dumb parking lot, but the good medical care is probably what made it okay, even with the parking lot.
And Dr. Kaplan, looking back now that you're retired in Florida, what do you think your legacy was at RBK? Because it can't be George Rogel running the place.
I have no idea. I really don't know. Just the social commitment. I was there.
Yeah. People still, Dr. Kaplan, people speak about Dr. Raymond. Dr. Raymond has his wall of fame in the Bayshore office to commemorate his office and his contribution to RBK Pediatrics.
Came in, he was our intern when I started.
It's amazing that a business has survived so many years and so many changes. That I wasn't around when you started, but I know when I started, the accounting was in pegboards, and people paid you mostly in checks or cash. None of these fancy computers and credit cards and all of these new things, and yet the business has evolved and survived. And it's amazing that you started seeing kids on Sunday so far back. That's not seen very often.
It was and still is a 365-day practice.
Correct. Dr. Kaplan and Dr. Raymond's groups like cross cover each other. Neil told us about that.
Excuse me, George?
Is cross cover each other, Neil?
I thought before I started, like on the Jewish holidays, Dr. Raymer would see your patients that, needed to be seen, that type of thing.
So that's how the smaller groups operated back then.
What happened going back the way Reichman took in Brown was that it was during a winter holiday that Reichman was signed out to one of the other covering pediatrician in Comac. And then he got a call. The other pediatrician did not want to see any more of his patients. The Reichman had to come back from his vacation, and that's when he took Brown in.
Oh, okay.
It was just the coverage.
Dr. Bellman, what was RBK when you started there?
I joined in 1987, so it was around 15 years after Dr. Kaplan joined.